Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the City Council, May 7th, 6:30 PM City Council meeting. At this time, we'll stand for the pledge and prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Loftus, would you like to pray?
Yes. Our gracious Father in heaven, we thank you again for this day which you have granted us. And Father, we come before you at this time, at this council meeting, asking you to be with the council members as we make decisions affecting our city. We pray, dear Father, for everyone that works for the city. We hope and pray that you will keep everyone safe, and we continue to ask your blessings to be upon us. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. At this time, we will have questions and comments from any citizen that would like to speak. And I see none right now, so we'll move on to the election items. Consider and take appropriate action on Resolution R-012-24, canvassing the return and declaring the results of the city general election conducted on May 4th, 2024. Mrs. Sauls.
All of that is the canvassing
Okay.
stuff. And
Just sign it and pass it on. And read it. Okay.
Give me next time we go, John, I'm going to give me some more pens.
is yours working?
Yes, yes.
This is working.
Let's see which one is Sorry.
Question? We don't gotta do it.
Yeah, can you come here for a minute? I'm sorry, I get confused almost every time we do this, okay, so,
Okay, so this would be for the mail-in ballots.
okay.
Okay, and these are the early voting ones, but remember, we did it with the schools, so.
Okay, that's where I'm getting
Okay, so
confused.
these are the early voting.
Okay.
And so this is for 33 and 42.
Okay,
And then you go down to 11
okay,
there. And then you go down to 11, 14 and 23.
okay.
Right
And-
there.
And we sign,
You can just,
sign right there?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. confused. I am so sorry. I don't know why I'm so confused this time.
Okay,
I
so you-
apologize, but
You have 4 tally tapes.
yes, but
This
where
one
is what I'm checking it against?
Okay, it's up here
She-
underneath somewhere. Did you send
Yes.
it?
It's in
Oh,
that
that's
pack.
what I sent with her.
Did you send with me, miss,
Right
or this
here.
one?
There it is.
Oh,
Okay.
that's the one, okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Wait a minute.
So really, I should have checked all 4 before I sent it on. I get it, okay. See, I'm getting confused, but now I get it. So here, let me
I
wait
think
to
you
send
need
this
that.
on to
Okay,
you.
you take all that back to us.
Yeah,
Just lost
sorry
it.
about
Right,
that.
that's
I don't know why I got so confused. I'm so sorry, but. Okay, now I got it.
Did you sign it, Karen?
Yeah, I signed it. I don't know why I got so confused on that. But. Fairlight's better. Okay. Got it. There's another one. Okay, I'm gonna recheck that one, do you mind? Because I didn't, I don't think I really did that here, did I? I just want to double check that I did check it right. This is the one, it's the,
That one you have to add in the hand count too.
yes. Okay. And that's something that one there. Okay. That one goes with that. And then here's your other 3. There you go.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. I was actually looking at the whole thing.
Robert? No? I'll let you have this.
Sorry, this is a bit of a process.
Hey, send that back in. I forgot to sign it. Ain't got nothing room down here for railhead.
We can pass it, Pete, if you want. Of course, you go through the piece of paper. We might get them out of the wrong envelopes, but you figure it out. You know.
You can judge it.
Yeah, because I was looking for the first one. This is the one of those. session, but somebody might say something. Well, yeah, could afford some, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she-
Thank you. And so at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve Resolution R-012-24, canvassing the returns and declaring the results of a city officer's election to fill the term of council member, place 1 on the Borger City Council for the 3-year term beginning in May 2024.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. And the next is administer oath of office and present the certificate of election to newly elected officer, Mrs. Sauls and Mr. Loftus.
Right
You can go back.
Yes, please. Yeah, I know the rest. Insert your name.
I, Charles Henry P. Loftus,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council Member for the City of Borger of the State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
I do.
Did you bring your pen?
Yeah, I have one in my pocket right here.
There you go. Congratulations, Pete. Welcome again to the City Council. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then item 7, conduct an election for mayor for the election year 2024-2025.
Congratulations, sir.
Mrs. Sauls.
Just pass them to the left. This is the time of year when we know Stella can count.
Who said she's a no count before?
Unanimously, Karen Belker.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. And at this time, item 8, appoint Mayor Pro Tem for the election year 2024-2025.
I make a motion, I nominate Kim Perez.
I second.
And all in favor? And it passes.
Now we're good to go for another year.
For another year.
Another year.
Okay, and then at this time, we'll go on to the consent agenda items 9 through 11, and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve consent items 9 through 11.
Second.
And all in favor? And it passes. And item 12, conduct a public hearing and then consider and take appropriate action on the appeal of the Planning and Development Department's decision to deny the renewal of a solicitor's permit from Divine Energy Solar. Mr. Burke.
Mayor and council, I regret having to be up here tonight. for this denial of this permit, but we did feel heavily that the renewal of their permit was best served to deny. Y'all were provided with a timeline of events. I'd like to kind of go through that just a little bit, but first of all, before I get into that, we do have a few citizens here today that have had contact with this company, Divine Solar Energy. And to kind of clarify things, they solicit business for the actual company that does the solar installs, which is Evolution Solar Solutions, which to my knowledge we have not had any problems with. It's just been on the soliciting side. And so to start off with, on February 10th, 2024, which was the date the contract was signed by James McCuller from 304 Estorino. This date was provided to us by Divine Solar in response to their renewal application. On February 21st of 2024, Divine Solar requested, and specifically Alec Wright, submitted a records request from the city of Borger, and what they wanted was all the permits that we've done solar energy permits for. In that contact, he visited with Shelby Webster, and in that same conversation, she had let him know that if they were going to solicit door to door, they would need a permit. So, which takes us to March 1st of 2024. Contact with Divine Solar by Corporal Micah Adamson of the Borger Police Department. Divine Solar was instructed to obtain a permit or a citation would be issued. And I believe he could testify tonight that in that conversation he told Mr. Addison that Shelby told him that he didn't need a permit. And that is not true. And so Mr. Addison made contact with Shelby and got that straight, and he was told then that, you know, either get the permit or a citation would be issued. So on March 3rd of 2024, Divine Energy Solar issued peddlers and solicitors permit number 24000005, and that expired on April 3rd of 2024. On March 4th, 2024, date that contract was signed by Carl Smith. Kind of goes on. March 30th, Divine Energy Solar files lawsuit against James McCuller from 304 Estorino. Then also on April 9th, which was given to us by Divine Solar, he also filed a lawsuit against Carl Smith, which is also here today as well. I will tell you that Mr. Smith is unaware of that lawsuit as of today. Sorry, there's a lot going on here. So on April 12th, application from our office was received from Divine Energy Solar to renew their permit. And at that time, we looked at the complaints that we had and actually how he even treated our office staff as well. And because of all that, we felt like there was some tactics used by him and his employees that we felt was not fair to our citizens, and so we denied that permit. So which, after we denied that, then he has appealed that to y'all. Mr. Alec Wright is not here today. We did receive an email from him today stating that he would not be here, and that was all that was said in the email. So if you have any further questions from me, or would like to talk to any of the people that I mentioned in my,
We'll just let you know that you do have Mr. Wright's response that he submitted via letter.
Yeah.
I will also say that he called multiple times, talking with both Stella and Shelby, wanting to confirm today's meeting. He was sent notice about today's meeting, both via email and by regular mail. So he did get notice, ample notice in advance.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't need to hear anything from him, but I would like to say something to him if it's okay. I mean, because personally, just reading his response, to me, I hope that this gets to the lawsuit, because to me, he's really kind of messed himself around, because he said some things that, truthfully, I mean, for one thing, he signed a contract way before he got a permit. And another thing, he says in here, the way I read it, that he's told y'all there was no cost to you and zero down. So, I mean, to me, you don't, I would have signed something if I was getting free solar, and that's the way I would have took it. So, I mean, I hope those things come out in whatever this lawsuit, and hopefully the lawsuit won't even go any further. But I hate that y'all had to deal with that, truthfully. I mean, because,
I would open the public hearing.
oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I shouldn't have said all that until I opened the public hearing. Here, I'll open a public hearing.
It's a technicality.
Technicality, but kind of have my blood boiling. But if any of y'all would like to say anything, for sure.
So I'll say this on our behalf. I was actually on duty the night that I encountered them. I actually got a phone call from my wife. They were peeking in the windows, trying to see if anybody was home. She sent me a picture of the camera. So I went ahead and went over there along with the rest of the guys. The guys that were out selling were non-confrontational. They had no idea. I asked them where their state-issued IDs were, where their permits were, where their IDs were for their business, and what type of business. They had none. Some of them were dressed all in black, and it's dark out. It was pitch dark at night. Some of them were dressed in shorts with holes in their T-shirts. Just something kind of made it fishy. So the further I got in, I did ask to speak to their boss. That's when their boss told me that he had spoken to Shelby, and Shelby had told him that he did not need a permit. So I made contact with her, made sure that I understood how the city ordinance was read as far as permits, and that I knew what I needed to tell him. And when I called him back, he just basically told me that he didn't care what I had to say or anybody else, that he had customers. He was going to go ahead and do what he needed to do with or without a permit. And that's when I advised him that if I caught him or any of his people selling in the city without a permit, that they would be issued a citation for violation of city ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't
Micah.
need,
Thank you,
I
Micah.
don't need any more information.
Yeah.
I would just say, to put it out there, I mean, you know, we had grounds to deny his permit application to begin with the complaints prior, and then his own testimony or his own letter that stated that he did complete transactions before being permitted would have been grounds to deny it too. We gave him the benefit of the doubt, issued the first 30-day permit. And so, I mean, it's not like we did not work with the business side of this too.
Right.
So I just kind of want it out there that, you know, at this point, based on the complaints, we're trying to protect the citizens on the backside of it, but we did also try to give a business the benefit of the doubt too. So this is not a rash decision. And I will say that in my career with the city and my previous work with the police department, I got the occasional unlicensed peddler, but it was never normally a big thing that they got it. And I've never taken as many complaints or had as many issues with the peddler such as this in my 15 years. And we haven't even been regulating peddlers that long, I don't think.
Yeah. If y'all have anything else, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to uphold the decision of planning and development to deny the Sislers permit to Divine Energy Solar.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. And we'll move on to number 13, conduct a public hearing and then consider and take appropriate action to approve on final reading ordinance O-003-24. I never did shut that public hearing. Sorry, we'll close that public hearing. I'm not good with public hearings, trust me. Conduct a public hearing and then consider and take appropriate action to approve on final reading ordinance O-003-24, renewing the standards of care for youth programs. Mr. Spradlin.
So we talked about this just a little bit last year. We've done this. This is the 5th year that we'll be renewing this. These are the standards of care that we put in place for our youth recreation program in the summer so that we don't have to be certified through the state. I will tell you that if you look at the manual and you look at our standards, we are well in advance of what the state would require if you went to a daycare facility. And so I don't think anybody should have a problem with that, but the state law does require a public hearing every year on our standards. In the package, you'll also see we included the parent manual for that program this year that we go through and talk with every parent before the program starts now about our standards of care and their expectations of parents for the kids. But I'll entertain any questions you might have. Other than that, we just need a public hearing to see if anybody has any questions about it.
Okay. At this time, we'll open a public hearing. If anyone has anything. And if not, then I'll close the public hearing.
Normally, the biggest question is, when can I get rid of my kids to you?
And at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve on final reading ordinance O-003-24, renewing the standards of care for youth programs.
Second.
All in favor? And it passes. Item 14, consider and take appropriate action to receive, here, let me close that public, did I already close it? I don't like public hearings. Consider and take appropriate action to receive the Borger, Inc. mid-year report. Miss Michelle, hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank y'all for having me. Just wanted to go over the mid-year report. Amy was unable to be here tonight, and she just wanted to apologize for that. So I hope you all had a chance to read through the report. I'd like to share some highlights concerning 3 of the main goals. So we're excited about the progress of goal number 1, which is attainable workforce housing development. In October 2023, the Yucca Estates plat was approved, securing infrastructure groundwork. And then in January of this year, the 380 agreements were established with Borger, Inc., ensuring funding. And so we've overcome many obstacles with Garrett's help, of course, and his expertise specifically on easement issues and securing funding for the development. And we're just so proud to announce the agreements with 712 General Contractors. They have been finalized, so we're happy about that. And they've hit the ground running. 712 reported this week that they have already received the initial bid from D.E. Ross Construction, and they have contacted all the utility services to start moving forward with that. And then, of course, the city is working to get approved address plats for them right now. And next month, on June 13th, we have a groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for them, and we're expecting completion of infrastructure and potentially 5 homes by the end of 2024. So we are really excited about that. Our housing development strategy, of course, we have ongoing efforts to identify housing development sites, and we recognize this as high importance for our community and industry. And a lot of this is learning and just gaining information as we continually do and actively seek that, collaborating with stakeholders, understanding talent, recruitment barriers, and demographic trends. And then goal number 2, downtown revitalization. We're pretty excited about that too. We're working on a pre-inspection program potential business owners. And this would help streamline their process and hopefully alleviate a good portion of unexpected cost. So currently, if we have someone that is interested in a downtown building, then we'll take them, we'll get with a contractor that's familiar with city guidelines, which usually is Jimmy Baker. And so we'll get with him and we'll coordinate a meeting so that he can go with them to whatever building and go through and tell them what they should expect on renovations, the cost-wise, what they should expect they might have to do. And then we further direct them over to planning and code enforcement so that if their business requires certain guidelines, that they'll know that ahead of time. Like they can ask them ahead of time and not start the project and then not know. And then we just feel like that this will help them maybe pass by some, getting into some debt that they didn't expect. And so if they know some things ahead of time, then that's going to be so helpful for them. And of course, we always refer them to Spencer McElhannon, which is the business consultant that comes to our office. The EDC pays for him to come to our office every week on Wednesday, and he's available for anybody in the community that wants business consulting. And so, and then we just want to help them navigate through that process. And so hopefully we'll get that pre-inspection program lined out to help every business that comes into town or that wants to expand or anything else. So part of our downtown revitalization is collaboration with property owners and the Downtown Merchants Group, and just determining their future goals and that they may have and how we can help support them in their efforts to do that. And then we've joined efforts with the Main Street and the Chamber to draw foot traffic and support local businesses. And you may recognize some of that by the sip-in shops and the bus tours and seasonal events that we've been participating in. And then we have 2 downtown buildings that are in the renovation process in hopes of attracting new businesses. Currently, 532 North Main is almost finished with renovations. It's getting close to completion. And we have signed a lease agreement with a business from Amarillo that wants to expand into Borger for that space. And so as soon as renovations are done, they hope to move in, and it's the ACI bar. And we're excited about that because it gives us a fairly healthy option for food that we'll be adding to Main Street. So we're pretty excited about that. And then our third goal, economic resilience. This is an ongoing process as well. Amy participates in trade shows and the high ground events for business attraction opportunities. And we've utilized the Borger Enterprise Park as a recruitment tool for industry, and that's generated quite a bit of interest. For strategic planning, we're partnering with the Next Move group, and that's who y'all met with they come in to interview the different people in the community. And so we've partnered with them to help with industry analysis, as there may be new target markets that didn't exist previously that could work well with our existing resources. And so we are also working on Project 828 for sports tourism as a diversification of our existing industry and employment base. And so those are basically all the highlights. I'll be glad to answer any questions or direct them to Garrett.
You did fantastic.
Yeah, you did
Keep up
Yeah.
the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody have anything?
The consultant fee, is that a free consulting for the business stuff, or? I didn't know if it was
Just
free or-
Spencer.
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer.
Yeah,
It's free to anybody in town. The EDC pays for it.
Okay.
So, yes.
And so I know, like, the chamber took a call yesterday from somebody that was wanting information to how to start their business and file with the Secretary of State. And so they directed that person over to the EDC and Spencer, and that's what he's there to help guide you. I know in a lot of times he'll help you make a business plan to make sure that your idea is
Profitable.
right,
Yeah.
financially sound. You know, they're just because an idea is good does not mean
Right.
that it's good here or good financially. And so Spencer's very good at delicate at being that. And then he also gives the EDC board all the information that they need if somebody ends up going through with an incentive or some sort of development agreement with the EDC.
He'll do financial performance for them. If they come in and say, I want to do this business, but I don't really know what to expect, that he can figure it out just by what they think they're going to have coming in, and he can say, okay, this will be your profit or loss, and kind of show them if they want to move forward or not. But he's a wealth of information. He travels throughout the Panhandle. He goes to different community every day of the week that he's contracted with, and he has a lot of business experience, failed business, successful business, and I mean, he sees what goes on in the other communities in the Panhandle, so he can kind of tell like what this area is what's gonna work well in this area. So
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just add, we're at a really good point. We're seeing a lot of progress on these mid-year reports and seeing some of our planning pay off. I know with economic development especially, sometimes that's why, if you recall recently, we redid their bylaws to move to 5-year strategic plans, because so many of these projects are multi-year and it takes time to get there. But a lot of our planning and things we put in place back in 2019, 2018, we're now starting to see the fruits of those as we've got so much moving. And I'm really excited for the next 6 months and on. There's going to be some pretty big news in the coming months. And I know y'all are aware of some of that like I am, but or some benefits to being on the council.
Yep. Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion.
I move to receive Borger Inc.'s fiscal year 2024 mid-year report as submitted.
I'll second it.
And all in favor? And it passes. And item 15, consider and take appropriate action on resolution R-011-24, updating the City of Borger's water conservation plan. Mr. Spradlin.
So TCQ does require these to be updated every 4 years, and so it's time for us to update our water conservation plan. There are not major changes to the plan from the previous time. We have completed some of our goals. The biggest changes are estimates for water use over the next 4 years. You will see that overall, we are projecting an overall increase in water use, which the state doesn't like to see. But if you'll notice, most of that is in the industrial side. So we do have emission controls going into the carbon black plant, which require additional water use, so they're increasing their water takeage. And as we've seen in the last couple of budget cycles, Phillips continues to take more city water, as they see depleting supplies through their water system. However, they are starting to invest in that. It's not a big increase that you see, but the big change is too, is we have put some things in place to decrease our water loss percentage. So that's the percentage. We know how much water we produce, and we know how much water we sell. The difference is the water loss. So that's leaks, or prior to the last plan, we weren't logging the water used when we flushed hydrants. And so now they probably bitch about it, but there's a process that we use to calculate when they flush hydrants that Chris does somehow. But you'll notice we've reduced that down from 3.48 to 1.98 this last year using our baseline. So other than that, it's pretty much the same. I'll entertain any other questions that you may have.
The bulk of the revenue comes for this too, right?
Yeah, the industrial water sales represent 75% of our total water sales, with our commercial being about 25%. On a busy day, we sell about 12 million gallons of water. Of that, about 2 million gallons is residential, normal commercial use. 10 million gallons is a commercial. That's per day. So Pampa, as comparison, does somewhere between 1.75 and 2.5 million a day total, to where we're doing 12 million gallons a day.
We're thirsty.
Anyone else have anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution R-011-24, updating the City of Borger water conservation plan.
Second.
And all in favor? And it passes. And item 16, consider and take appropriate action to authorize the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine from Seagraves Fire Apparatus LLC using HGAC Cooperative Purchasing Program, contract FS 12-23, for the amount of $1,157,332. Mr. Spradlin.
So we've been warning about this for a while. The next fire engine has been in our CIP plan now for the last 2 cycles. It seems kind of soon, I know, because we just took delivery of our last one about 18 months ago or something like that. But if you look closely, this contract stipulates a delivery time frame of 1,200 days. So that's 1,200 days from the date the final drawings are signed. So that's not 1,200 days from today, that's 1,200 days from when Mike and all of them go up and do their pre-building and say, yes, this is how we want it. So that's probably at 90 days on top of that. So if we order this truck today, we are looking at taking delivery in November of 2027. Now, we had originally planned to take delivery of this truck in 2026, which puts us on our general 6-year cycle for our fire apparatus replacement. So we're gonna be just a little bit behind, but it won't be too bad, but that's why it's on here now. What we've talked about is this is a little different because this purchase will require debt issuance. We have planned for that. The INS rate is built in for that, knowing that we have to replace fire apparatus. But we can't issue the debt yet because once you issue debt, you have 24 months to spend the debt, and this truck won't be here for like 36 months. So this decision will require or will lock us into the need to issue debt at a future date. But like I said, that has been planned and we've all been expecting that it's in our plan. It will not necessitate a tax increase or will not change our budget. It's just part of the process. I will also add that while this is not a small amount, but these trucks last for 20 to 25 years. So when you divide 1.2 million over 20 years, that's $200,000 a year. And so overall on fire apparatus, we spend about $300,000 a year. And not that I say this all the time, and not that I'm knocking any other department, but just to put that in perspective, the police department goes through about $400,000 a year in capital equipment vehicles. The difference is yes, they're not $1 million, but they've got a lot more than 5 of them. And they don't last 20 years. So while we all tend to freak out when we deal with fire apparatus because it's so much money up front, overall, it actually does pretty much wash out. And this is also my opportunity to remind you, because of the investment we make into our fire department, we do have an ISO 2, which puts us in the top 10% of fire departments nationwide, top 15% of fire departments in this country, which provides a lower insurance rating. So the insurance premiums that our residents pay for being inside the city, being covered by the highly rated fire department. When I was on the council in 06, when we went from a 4 to a 2, that alone was worth a 12% savings on your insurance bill. So you're gonna pay this money one way or the other. So do we want to give it to the city that we use to invest in our fire department that serves our community in a lot more ways than just fire protection and that becomes part of our community? Or do we let the insurance companies increase their rates and send that money to New York or wherever they're out of? So the fact that we can keep doing something like this, make sure that our firemen have the best equipment and the safest equipment possible without a direct financial impact, I think speaks for the management and financial mindset of the city. And of course, Mike and Jamie are here if you have any specific questions. The plan is to make this just like the other 2 engines we have. So on a side note, and I know Mike agrees and Jamie too, because he's been here almost just as long and through all of that, but once this truck comes in 1,400 and whatever days that is, for the first time, all 3 fire apparatus in the city of Borger will be standardized.
Oh, yeah.
And something we've been working 18 years to get towards. And so.
So is this just replace one that's gonna be
Yeah, so we
sold or given or donate or whatever?
So we keep 3 frontline apparatus, 2 engines and 1 aerial, and then a reserve apparatus. And so when the new one comes in, the reserve apparatus gets retired, auctioned off, the second out engine goes to reserve, the first out engine goes to second out, and the new one goes to first out. So it is a rotation. This is not
Just like the police cars are rotation.
right. It's been a little tight, you know, what we talked about a couple of years ago, for whatever reason, for going back to the 40s when I was on the council, because we ended up buying a ladder truck and an engine pretty close together. And I kind of want to know why we weren't doing that, but forever, in the 40s, we bought 2 apparatus within a year of each other. So then in the 60s, they had to buy 2 apparatuses within a year of each other because they were 20 years old at the same time. And then in the 80s, they had to, so we've been trying to spread that out. And this apparatus, with all we've done over the last 6 years, should finally get us where we only have to get 1 large apparatus every 5 or 6 years and not have to get 2. But it's taken,
But you weren't saying that you were on the council in 1940, were you?
no.
I didn't think so, because it sounded that way.
I was on the council in 06 when we had to buy 2 apparatus, and I'm like, why the hell are we having to buy 2 apparatuses at once?
Okay,
They're
okay.
replacing them in 1940.
It's like, we should know what we should need, and we should,
That's why you're a city manager now. Okay, I got it.
but I've joked, I know the council will like this, and I've kind of, told Mike, is I'm not leaving and retiring until I can open all those engine bays and all 4 apparatuses be the same.
Well, there you go.
That's just the type of OCD I have, but it does really
So
help.
we know we have you a couple, 100.
You've got me, 1,400 and whatever it is.
But aren't they red already?
They are now. They weren't when,
Really?
They weren't red?
They weren't really?
They were yellow.
that canary yellow.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah, we had some beautiful yellow fire engines.
And I joke with them all the time. I remember when I was going to St. John's and we go to the fire department, that engine 4, I remember how nice it was and how cool it was. It had that real line on top and it looked like a real fire truck. And I remember being so excited to do that. And then I come back, after graduating college and getting into the fire marshal's office and all that stuff. And I walked into the fire station, I was like, that's a piece of crap. How the hell did I ever like that? And now somehow I've turned into the old guy that remembers all that old stuff. And especially at the fire department, we joke about that all the time, that a lot of the new guys don't have any idea of where they came from and
Yeah.
from some of those
I
old days.
think at that time, people were saying they were easier to see than the red. And that's when they went to yellow.
Well, the Amarillo at the time had that greenish color.
Huh.
But, and Mike can kind of get on board with that high-vis greenish yellow. But this was like canary yellow. I mean, this was not,
It was yellow.
reflect, I mean, it was yellow, school bus yellow. I mean, it might as well have been a school bus.
Huh.
But I'm excited because, operationally and stuff, for the first time, all the apparatus will be the same. They'll have the same equipment and the same cabinets. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Where, before, there were drastic differences between apparatus. They weren't, nothing alike. So if you knew where it was on one truck, if you didn't remember which cabinet it was on the other truck, it might not be there because they don't have the same cabinets. And so having that will be really good. And
Makes sense.
and just to add, if Mike or them want to say anything, they did just get back from Wisconsin, looking at our aerial ladder that's finally a couple weeks away from actually being here. They actually saw a truck and it actually pumped water. I'm assuming it pumped water.
Like Eric said, we went to Green Bay last week, did the final inspection on the town. Beautiful truck. They expect to have we had a little bitty issue. Some lights weren't working like they were supposed to. A few minor issues, but they were supposed to have that. Their goal is to have it ready to go by the end of the week. So I'm expecting they're going to run down to Bloomington, do a little show and tell with the truck there, and then it'll come to Borger. So hopefully by the end of in 2 weeks, it'll be in Borger.
Will you get a
But-
commission if they sell something at that show and tell?
No, I sure won't.
All right, you should have signed that in there.
I sure won't. But no, it's a beautiful truck. We sure are proud of it. Thank you so much.
That's good.
Yes.
I think everybody should be proud of that. That'll be the
Yeah.
nicest truck anywhere in the Panhandle.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So like
That's
Garrett
great.
said, with this truck here, that will be all Seagrave.
That's good.
The reason why it's 1,200 days, they're 400 trucks behind. 130 of them
Wow.
are New York City trucks.
Really?
So they are selling trucks left and right. So when I talked to the salesman redoing our capital projects, they said about 1,100 days. Of course, they overshot the price a little bit. They said 1.2 to 1.4 million. So they came down on the price, but we went up on the days of delivery to 1,200. So, and I asked if that was over exaggerated, and they go, no, it's not over exaggerated. So it's going to be 1,200. We're about 800 on the ladder right now.
Yeah.
About the time it's delivered, it'll be about 800 days.
Everything on these trucks, it's pretty much all custom made.
It is.
They get the pump, and they get the axles, and they get the engines, but the chassis.
They build the frame, they build everything.
Because
Wow.
they're completely custom, they're the only two that are alike are our two, because we wanted them to be alike.
Right. It's a single source manufacturer.
Yeah.
They do everything in-house.
And I will say one thing with Seagrave, it's, you know, we've worked through some issues with some of their commodity things and some of the long lead times, but I mean, they do produce a quality product.
Right.
You know, there are other manufacturers out there, and a lot of times they're not, some of the big metroplex cities buying some of those apparatus, you know, they're getting maybe 7 years out of those apparatus, which is fine for a big city like that. If you've got 30 apparatus, you know, you only keep them on the front line for 5 years before you rotate them down. But we do need to get
We need to get our
20 years out
at
of
least.
that, so we do need to be mindful of that. We do pay a little extra, if you recall, for the stainless steel bodies instead of aluminum.
Firefighter safety is the key right there. That's why
Yeah.
these trucks hold up. If we were to have a crash, rollover, the firefighters will be a lot more safer than an aluminum truck.
Well, and if you recall, and I won't mention anybody that's in the room that might have been involved in one of those in the previous trucks, but they in smoke, you know, a grass truck ran into what's now engine 3, which is a hybrid, but it was aluminum. And when you have that impact, the shock wave shattered all those aluminum welds. And so you can't just weld aluminum like you can stainless steel. You have to have special equipment, and it totaled that truck with a low impact crash just because it shattered all those welds. That's why a lot of the bigger heavy use departments use stainless, because if that had happened in a stainless truck, you can still repair it.
Yeah.
And so, as we talk about a lot, we do try to look at the totality of everything that we're getting and the total cost and total impact. And so the stainless steel is stronger, it is safer, and on the lower end, it can be repaired.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like I mentioned last time on the tower, I talked to a department that was in a head-on collision at 55 miles an hour in a Seagraves stainless steel cab. All the firefighters were fine. Killed the gentleman in the vehicle, and they had that truck operational that evening. So that's a huge testament to the safety of these cabs.
Yeah.
Especially to us, because there again, we don't have 30 apparatus. You know, if we
Yeah.
have an apparatus goes down,
Yeah, plus 3-year lead time. So, I mean, we can't just get one at any time, so,
Yeah, exactly.
yep.
but a lot of that quality is because Seagraves isn't just massively expanding and sacrificing their quality to meet those backlogs. And a lot of those backlogs, a lot of departments got a lot of federal money from the COVID relief and all that stuff, and so you had a lot of people,
That's what they bought with it, yeah.
but I will be excited to show all of y'all our $1.7 million big ladder truck when it gets in, but I know that it'll serve us for many years. And
I get to drive it, all right?
You could drive it.
let me tell you, it'd be a lot more comfortable to ride in a parade than the ladder that y'all did when you had to sit on the ladder. This one, you can just go stand up in the platform, throw candy from there.
Right.
Baby Ruths.
No.
Thank you,
He
Mike.
keeps
Thank you
thanking
for what y'all did through the wildfires as well. Thank y'all. And if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the purchase of a Type 1 fire engine from Seagraves Fire Apparatus LLC using HGAC Cooperative Purchase Program Contract number FS12-23 for the amount of $1,157,332.
Second.
And all in favor? And it passes. And item 17, consider and take appropriate action to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank y'all.